Hi guys! In today's video, I'm going to share with you how to cut a beautiful shag haircut on your clients with really thick hair. This is one of my dear, dear clients, and I just love the way her hair turns out. As always, with every haircut, I always start by spraying a leave-in conditioner or primer in the hair just to make the combability and slip of the hair easy as I'm cutting her hair. Starting off this haircut, I always recommend asking your client what side they part their hair on. This is important before mapping it out. In this instance, you saw her kind of moving her thumb over to the right. She's telling me that she moves it to the right, but it's not a really deep part. So I'm just going to map her hair out by separating the front from the back and just using a center part. When I go through to clean up at the end, that's when I'll fine tune the front. If she had told me that she had a deep part onto that left side moving to the right, then I would map it out with a side part. Now, because I have cut her hair before, I really don't need to subsection the sections out. She has shared with me in the consultation that I had prior, she really likes her length, so she doesn't want a lot off. So, in order to save my back, I choose to sit and get eye level with where I'm working. I want to recommend to you to do the same. If you don't have a stool, have them stand. Bending over to see your work after years and years of doing that, trust me, it will cause a lot of back pain and shoulder pain. So I always recommend getting eye level with the work. Now I'm not able to get really close up with me cutting. I have my camera on a stand, so I'm not able to really get it in focused for you to see, but you can kind of see how I'm opening and closing the scissors a lot. What I'm doing is I'm just kind of biting off the ends. I don't want it completely solid because this is more of a shag haircut and she has a really thick hair. I just want the edges of the hair to look a little bit piecey. I don't want them to look too solid. So I'm just kind of going in at a slight angle with my scissors, the tip of my scissors, and just kind of biting off the ends. This is just basically just to get the ends off. If she was going to go to a shorter length, then I would subsection and do it that way. I also want you to take note that the geometric shape of the perimeter is more rounded. What that means is that I'm just doing a more rounded oval perimeter instead of straight across. Now, once I've established the length in the back, I just kind of move to the sides and marry the back to the sides. Now I am pulling it kind of out over her shoulder. I'm not worried about it being really thick on the sides. I'm just wanting to make sure it's even and there's not a whole lot that's coming off. Now here, as you can see, I have taken a section, taken a vertical parting and straight up from the tops, just past the frontal bone down the side of the face. And I'm pulling it forward. As you can see, I'm pulling it, I'm combing it forward and bringing it to the front of the face. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because I want all that hair to be layered. And I want, when she's styling her hair in the end, I want it to kind of move away from her face and I want it to be very tapered around the face. So by doing, pulling it forward onto the face, what am I creating? I'm creating shorter hair around the face, her face frame, and longer toward the back. You can see when I comb it straight down, how it gives her a really nice face frame, but it also gave her that tapering and layering that I'm desiring. Now, once you've established the length around the face and the nape, then it's time to put in the layers. So as you can see, I'm creating a guide from the front and working it back to the crown area. Here again, she does not want a whole lot off the top. She likes the length on the top, so I'm just pulling it straight up and just trimming the ends. I'm choosing to use the length in the fringe area and bringing it to the length in the crown area. Once I would have enough hair cut on the top, then I'm going to create a guide that will extend all the way from the top all the way down to the nape. So I've taken that section at the crown, pulled it straight up, and cut my guide, and now I've sectioned off maybe about a ½ inch section down the back center of her head, and I'm just walking my guide down to her length in the back. Now you can see I'm pulling the hair straight out from the head and shifting my fingers a bit so that it can reach the length that I had established in the beginning. And you can see here it follows the shape of the head, so we're really doing a round layer and having it meet the ends. And you can see how that shape of the shag is already taking place. Now that I've created my guide, I'm going to work in a pivoting section throughout the crown area and just taking more guide and less of the section I'm going to cut so that I don't get lost in my haircut. It's so easy to get lost in thick hairs or your thick-haired clients. The thing I want you to pay most attention to is how I'm pulling the hair straight out from the head and cutting, and then walking the section I'm cutting down to the length in the nape. And another thing to point out is that you can see that I'm subsectioning that section out once I've cut it. It's really important to be aware of not cutting past that second knuckle. Now you can kind of see how I slightly shift my hands down a little bit as I'm coming down to that down to the length that I established in the perimeter. I'm doing that because I really want it to go from short to long. And the more you shift your hands down to meet the perimeter, the more dramatic or exaggerated that length will be from short to long. And I'm also being really careful there behind the ear. My client that I'm working on, her hairline right behind the ear, there's not a lot of space between her hairline and her ear. That space behind the ear and the hairline is called the mastoid process. This is the space between the ear and the hairline. And it's really important to pay attention to that when you are cutting this particular haircut. Because if you're not aware that there's a big space there between the ear and the hairline, you could cut a hole there, and really it can kind of change the shape of your haircut. So here's another, just a little bit better view of the angle that I'm pulling the hair up and cutting. Really being aware of where you're at on the head is so important. See how I shift down? I'm coming down around the crown, down the occipital bone, down into the nape. And I want to blend that the shorter layers in with the longer length. So by shifting my fingers or my hand down a little bit, it enables me to go from short to long very aggressively. Here again, you can see how I'm really being aware of just working cleanly. I'm just have right there where I'm working, I just have the hair, the section that I'm working on, so that's all that I'm focused on. It's like I've said in the past, it's so easy to get lost in your haircuts and to get going really fast. And then next thing you know, when you're going through the haircut and you're checking it, you have one side that's shorter, one side that's longer, and you've missed some sections. So it really will help you a lot by taking the time to really, section out the section you're going to work on, comb what you've already cut away, and comb away what you are getting ready to cut in your next section. If you notice too, I pick her head up there. Really being aware of your client's head position is important too. It helps, first of all, keeping you on target of achieving the length that you want. But it also helps you so that you're not moving forward and having to shift your shoulders and your body weight to keep chasing your client. Now that I reached the other side, I'm going in the opposite direction and I check it. I know that was a really fast snippet of that. But before I finished that right side, I went back through at horizontally, kind of at an angle, going with the round of the head and just pulling it up to make sure that I didn't leave any points there. And if I did, then I would just kind of cut those off. You can also see as I'm cutting and working my way around the head, I'm also letting the hair dry a little bit. It's not super dry, but it's dry enough that I can kind of fluff it and let it talk to me a little bit and see how the shape is taking place. If the hair is too wet, you're not going to be able to see that. Now that I've established the layers around the entire head, it's time to establish the fringe. As you can see here, I'm just kind of combing the hair, letting it fall, seeing how the cowlicks are going, where the hair wants to fall, and seeing where um, the frontal bone, where the hair comes off the head. So it's really important to section this off properly, because if you cut the bangs too far back, it's you can make it look good, but in this instance, she wants it to blend from the fringe or the bang area into her side fringe. So I've got to be careful not to cut the bangs too far past her eyebrow. That's a really good just a key point to keep you on point in your hair cutting is when you are separating the bangs off to cut, don't go past the edge of the eyebrow. Now here I'm just taking vertical sections and working um, in pivoting section on the frontal bone here, just pulling it straight out and taking the point off. The reason I'm doing that instead of cutting horizontally is because I want to have a real fringy, piecey bang area. Once I've established the length, I go back through and just point cut any little hairs that maybe I might have missed and fine tune the fringe. And here I'm just kind of combing it and seeing how I like it to lay. By taking my fingers and kind of angling them at an angle, like I said, it just gives you more of a piecier fringy bang. Now I'm just going back through and giving her some much needed weight removal but I'm thinking, I shouldn't say there's a method to what I'm doing. As you can see here, I'm working with the round of the head. And in that first section, I pulled it up and you saw me go, see how I bend it and then I cut and then I walk it up and I do some on the ends and then soften it. I'm using my texturizing shear, first of all, to remove weight. And but I'm placing it in a position that it will also, the shorter hairs that I do cut in there, will support and direct and create volume in the crown area of her haircut. So that's the first thing I'm doing. Then as I work my way up to the ends of that section, I'm cutting and walking my shears because I just want to create a real piecey, soft effect on the end so that it's not choppy looking. And here I'm just kind of going through and eyeing it, and where I feel like it's looking a little bit chunky, or I need to have it be a little bit wispier and piecier, I'm just going in and breaking it up with my texturizing shear. Now the shear that I'm using is by Shark Fin. It is a more aggressive kind of channeling shear. You can find the information on all of Shark Fin shears by visiting my website and hit the shop page. And in there, you will find everything you need to know about Shark Fin shears. And be sure, if you want to purchase any shears, be sure to enter OP as your coupon code, and you will receive a not only the scissors that you have purchased, but you will receive 2 extra pairs of texturizing shears and a razor as well with that coupon code. I love shark fin shears because they are made ergonomically correct. I can never say that word quite right, but they're designed to keep you as a hairstylist healthy and to keep your hands and your wrists from developing carpal tunnel and having a lot of pain. So I encourage you to visit Shark Fin Shears and their website and learn more about them. So now I decided I wanted to leave the styling portion of my haircut on here for you. I think it's so important as hairstylists that we educate our clients on how to style their hair. In this particular instance, and this client that I'm working on, she has wave in her hair. She's got a lot of texture going on, and we do color in her hair as well. So what you saw me put in her hair is from a product line I use called Seven, and it's called Blow Up Butter. And what it is, it's a blow dry cream. And I chose it because number one, it's in a cream form, so it helps the hair, the outside layer of the hair, which is a cuticle layer, we all know that. It helps it to lay down, but it also gives some nice, it helps to smooth the hair out, but it also gives a little bit of texture to the hair so that the hair wants to grip my brush as I'm blow drying. It's kind of like ironing, right? When we're blow drying our client's hair and we want to smooth it out, we've got to have some tension on the hair. And if the hair is too clean, it's kind of like fabric, if you want to think of it as fabric. Think about satin, how it doesn't wrinkle and it's super slippery. And linen, gosh, I hate linen because you always have to iron it. It wrinkles. Well, you want to think about the hair like that. You want to make her hair not so satiny, but more like linen, and so that you can so that the hair will want to attach itself to the brush and you can get the tension that you need. Now I'm also using a Dyson blow dryer. I love my Dyson. It dries it so quickly. But notice I am using a nozzle on the hair dryer as well. This really helps to direct that air just directly on the strand of hair that you're working on and not blowing all the rest of the hair that you've beautifully styled. As you can see, we've got one side already done. And if I don't have a nozzle on my blow dryer, air is going to continue to hit that hair and it's going to start releasing the style that we created and kind of open up the hair shaft a little bit, and it won't be as shiny. The other thing, key point that you want to point out is that the blow dryer is going down on the hair shaft. When you think of a hair shaft, if you look at under a microscope, it looks like shingles on a roof, and you want to lay those flat so that light bounces off of it and creates tremendous shine instead of filtering through and looking kind of dull. So that's the first one. And then the second one is, notice how I'm lifting my blow dryer up as I move up the head shape. I'm doing that because I want volume in the hair, in the very nape of the hair, in the bottom. I want that to lay close to the head. But as I'm working up the head shape, I'm slowly elevating that section to give volume to the hair. Because you see, the volume in your hairstyle comes from where the hair is coming from the scalp. So in the nape and along around the face, if you right there, I kind of combed it down a little bit. I'm keeping my elevation low because I want it to kind of hug the face and I want it to hug the neck. And then as I'm working my way up to the top, the crown of the head, each section is elevated a little bit more to create the volume. The other key point is using hot and cold properties when you're blow drying. So in this instance, I'm using my blow dryer on a high heat and I'm getting it nice and dry and smooth. And once I've reached that point where I know it's dry and it's hot, then I'm going to take my blow dryer away. And you can see how I kind of rotate it on my brush a little bit until it's cool. That sets it. We talked a bit about what the outside of the hair shaft looks like, shingles on a roof. Well, the inside looks like link of a chain. And when hot air hits those links, It opens them up and moves them, but they're not set until it's cool. So that's why as I'm blow drying the hair, once it's dry, I'm using hot air, but once it's dry, then I'm removing the heat from the section and letting it cool in the position that I want it to cool. So this works really well too in the instance that say you curled your hair too much. You can go back through with a blow dryer with really hot air and kind of go through your hairstyle and it'll loosen up your style a little bit. You can also see as I'm working through the hair with the nozzle of my blow dryer, I'm also stepping back and kind of looking at the style and making sure that everything's just kind of falling into place. Now here I'm working in the crown of the head. Remember during the haircut when I cut those pieces, I found the bend of the hair and then I cut those pieces. Well, this is what's happening. Here, those pieces of hair are being dried up and they're going to support the longer hairs. What this does is creates longevity for your clients and their style. This is a technique, though, that I encourage you not to do every time they come in for their 6 to 8 week haircut. I do the removal of weight on my thick-haired clients usually every other, and it's really kind of dependent on how much their hair has grown in between their haircuts. So here again, I just want to encourage you as a hairstylist to make sure that you take the time to educate your clients on how to style their hair. This is going to help them. You build trust with your clients. They're going to have build respect for you as their hairstylist. And you know what? They're going to love their style more because they're going to be able to duplicate what you've done in the salon. And the best part of it is their hair is going to look fantastic, and people are going to be saying, "Hey, where did you get your hair done?" And they're going to be a walking billboard for you. So, hey, if you like this video, would you show me some love and hit the like button below? And better yet, hit the subscribe button as well so that you know when I am uploading another video. And if you know somebody that this will benefit, would you share this video with them and let them know about On Point Hair Academy? And also, if you are a hairstylist and you are looking for some really great tips and tricks on building your business and other hair cutting tips, be sure to visit my website, onpointhairacademy.com. And there's tons of blog posts there. And also, I have two really great guides for you. One on the startup kit for the new stylist. It really helps you build your clientele quickly. Um, and the second one is the pros and cons of salons. It helps you be able to choose that right salon atmosphere so that you start your career off right. Now, one of the other things that I'm doing here is just around the face, it was just a little bit poofy. So I'm teaching her, I've got her facing the mirror and I'm teaching her how to balance out her style by using the flat iron just around the face and in her fringe area to flatten it. It just really balances it out so those sides aren't so full. The flat iron I'm using is, oh my goodness, I think it's a Hot Tools one. I'm gonna have to look that one up. I cannot remember exactly the brand. I will look it up and post it in the notes below. And if you're curious about the comb that I'm using, it's actually a comb that I got from my color company I use, which is Jacqueline Pro. That is also on the shop page of the website. You just go in the shop page, hit Jacqueline Pro and hit that you are a stylist and go into the stylist tools. I love their combs. They're not only great for cutting because the teeth are so awesomely separated, but they're also heat resistant, which is another a great advantage to use their combs. Anyways, I just want to thank you so much for watching. Again, show me some love. Hit that like button and hit subscribe. And also, if you are interested in learning more about what On Point has to offer and getting updates on my upcoming membership and podcast, be sure to visit my website and sign up. And as always, I always say, remember, your work is not about you. It is about how you make your clients feel. And I can tell this client that I'm working on, she always just brightens my day when she comes in, and she always tells me how wonderful I make her feel when she leaves, and how important I make her feel when she's sitting in my chair. And that, if you want to be successful as a hairstylist, that's the key. Yes, we need to have good haircutting tips and we need to do quality work, but it's so important about the way you make your clients feel. Anyways, happy haircutting and thank you so much for watching.